welcome to our December knowledge sharing session. Okay, we are having our final activity knowledge sharing session for this year today. So after today, our next meeting will be 2023. I know we are all excited and we are looking forward to a more fruitful year 2023. So without much ado, I'll take the opening prayer so that we can start right away. Okay. Heavenly Father, our Lord and our God, we thank you for yet another opportunity you've given unto us. Thank you for the year 2022 that is rounding off. Thank you for how far you've brought us. Thank you for all that you've caused us to achieve. Thank you for the challenges that came our way, even the ones that we are still trying to surmount. Thank you for all the good, the good and not so good that we've had to, face this year. We commit ourselves into your hands, and most especially this chapter, we ask, oh God, that your protection will be upon us in the remaining day of this year. None of us will be found wanting. Nobody will be lost. No life will be lost, oh God. And we commit our deliberations today into your hands. We ask that you sit enthroned, you speak through the speaker to us, and also you help us to pick that which speaks to us here today in Jesus' name. For in Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen. Okay, so I guess our guest speaker is sharing his screen, so I can't share mine, but I'll just go ahead to say that the next thing on our agenda for today is the Code of Conduct, citation of the Code of Conduct. I would like to call on the FinSec, Madam Grace, to please. Oh, okay, thank you, sir. Let me quickly share my screen so that I can bring up the Code of Conduct for us all to see. Okay, just a minute. Okay, please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you so very much. Madam Grace, if you're in the house, because I can't see the participants right now, please go ahead and lead us in the Code of Conduct. If not, Mr. Chairman, please, can you call someone in the meeting to take the Code of Conduct for us? Madam Linda Jokonla to please take the profile of the guest. No, sorry, we have to take the chairman's opening remark. Apologies for that, please. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, sir.
It's okay. Thank you very much, General Secretary. The IPC in the House, Olaoluwa Adejumo MCIPM, the guest speaker, Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun MCIPM, the ESCO and all other members on this call. Good evening. Welcome to December knowledge sharing session and our general meeting. It gives me great joy to have every one of us here again. More joyful for me is that within the year under review, I didn't have reason to say we were mourning as a chapter. We didn't lose any of our members. And that for me gives me great joy. No doubt 2022 has been a challenging time for some of us. Some have had to switch jobs. Some have lost jobs. But like the Bible says, a living dog is better than a dead lion. Where there is life, there is hope. We'll continue to retool. We'll continue to help ourselves to see how we can grow both individually and as a chapter. You will agree with me that all through this year, we've not defaulted in terms of getting quality personnel or quality speakers to speak to us on very serious and germane contemporary issues. Of course, that was our commitment to you during our AGM, our last AGM. Yes, we had our expectations as ESCO. Some met, some not met, even though there were efforts by all of us to ensure that the chapter grows. So wherever we have fallen short of your expectation for the year, please bear with us. We hope that next year will be far better than this year. And what I'm thinking for next year is that we may have to share maybe an online, something like a questionnaire, so that we have tailor-made knowledge sharing session, meaning what HRO value chain do we even want to be shared? Instead of us maybe picking topics, we can leave it for our members to decide which, but the issue with that is that when that form goes out, the expectation is that we should all respond so that in 2023, we can have what we really need. We can have knowledge sharing sessions that we really need. And depending on the choice we make, there's nothing stopping us from, for example, I don't see us doing HRO metrics in one knowledge sharing session. But if that is what we want, it means we may get people who will do that for 1, 2, 3 sessions and we'll see how it goes. But it's important that as a group, we are responsive, meaning when informations go out that requires feedback, let's get the feedback immediately. The AGM will be coming up in February next year, although this will come up under announcements, but I needed to mention this specifically. So election will be thrown open. The expectation is that if you are interested in contesting any position, by the electoral committee will handle that. I will not handle. The ESCO will not handle. An electoral committee will be handled. Maybe during announcement, we'll give more details to that. But please, we need all of us to build this chapter together. So what that means is that if there are positions you think you can function and function very well, please do pick up the form when it is time so that together we can join hands and make this chapter a very strong chapter. Without wasting so much of our time, I would want to stop here so that we can go straight to the business of the day, and maybe during announcements and some of these things we can add flesh to it. Thank you very much and welcome. And let me apologize. We have never had a knowledge sharing session on Sunday. This one was a unique one. If you remember, for those who were in the last knowledge sharing session in November, we agreed we'll be taking that, I think, December 10th. Unfortunately for us, the branch end of year party that was 11th on Sunday was shifted back to Saturday. So what that meant was that we could not, the branch cannot be having a program on Saturday and we fix a program on Saturday. That will not be approved. Also, our speaker could not do yesterday, which was a Saturday. It is either we picked a working day or a Sunday. Hence, we chose Sunday because we've not done working day. We are aware that most of our people will be working. So hence, so our apologies. I'm sure we will not have reason to come for any of the knowledge sharing session on a Sunday. Please forgive us for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Please, yes, sir. I want to be sure you can hear me. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for that opening remark. So we move straight to the next thing on the agenda for this meeting, which is the reading of the profile of the guest speaker. I'm going to be sharing my screen once again while Madam Linda Jokonla takes the profile of the guest speaker.
Good evening, dear professional colleagues. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay, thank you. Standing on existing protocol. It's a great way to round up the year. We thank God for the gift of life. And it's beautiful having a great resource as an icing on the cake for us as a chapter. Our guest speaker is a top-performing, accomplished, and skilled human resource executive and researcher with over 16 years of experience across high-profile industries, including power, oil and gas, telecommunications, broadcasting, real estate, advertising, academia, consulting, and volunteer work. He offers professional expertise and a diverse range of skills within training and development, organizational strategy development, business partnership, change management, employee relationship management, and administrative expert HRO. He is a member, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Senior Professional Human Resources International, Global Practitioner Human Resources, a PhD candidate, Economics Department, University of Lagos, MBA, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, MSc Economics, University of Lagos, BSc in Economics, University of Ilorin, Nigeria. His current role as Group Head, HR, Accelerex Holdings. And previous roles, Employee Relations, KJLM, Korea Trans Limited, Head, Shared Services Field Co Limited, Head, Human Resources Emotion Advertising. He also has prior experience in consulting and HR experience at Globalcom, a major telecommunications firm. He is a member of Toastmasters International and have attained the highest award of Distinguished Toastmasters. He has published 38 papers in reputable journals. Dear professional, it's an honor to introduce Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun, DTM. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for that very warm introduction. It's my privilege and pleasure to join this program today. I do not take it for granted. I'd like to salute our Oga at the top, our chapter president, Mr. Nakpo. My privilege. Thank you for opening the door. I also like to celebrate our immediate past chairman, Mr. Olaoluwa Adejumo. Thank you so much for your leadership and support across the board. I'm happy to celebrate all the members of the ESCOs, both current and past, and everyone who have contributed one way or the other to the development of this great chapter. I'm also aware that we have some guests in the house today. Thank you everyone for coming. Today, we'll be talking about a very interesting and dynamic topic, strategic positioning for 2023, the economy, the elections, global dynamics, and you. So let's start from something that is happening today. As we speak, the World Cup final is ongoing. You may realize that we don't have many men on this call. Don't be surprised. But don't worry, somehow they'll probably watch the recordings and get back to us. We must do what we have to do. All right. So, when you look at this topic, it looks to a large extent very big, very, very deep, but we will simplify it. In the next few minutes, we will demystify it. So this is the general course outline. We'll look at global economic overview. We'll look at the Nigerian economic overview. We'll look at major challenges organizations may likely face in the year ahead. We'll look at some HR trends. We'll also look at HR skills that we need, and we'll also take it very personal. So this evening, we have a robust total package. We'll go around the world in a few minutes. I'm sharing this slide. Please follow with attention. Okay, so next year is not going to be in isolation. What do I mean? Previous years have a way of feeding into the year under review. So, of course, so that we don't go back too much, the pandemic hit us 2020. We witnessed significant higher growth rates over the course of 2020 and 2021 compared to previous years. However, this year, 2022, we began to see shifting patterns. Some of the things we began to see, and I'm sure some of us here can testify, our organization can validate these things, begin to experience stubborn inflation, energy shocks, higher interest rates, reduced investment budgets, and so on and so forth. Of course, it's also important to mention that the escalation of the war between Ukraine and Russia, okay, and other things like terrorism, pockets of terrorism all over the world, including in Nigeria. Okay, so it means that upfront, we may be building or preparing for leaner times. We must be capital efficient. We must be able to adapt. Now, let me say this quickly. One thing I've experienced in my career and as an adult is that they don't need to tell us when we're in austerity. We all feel it. But when we are in an economic boom, people need to tell you, what do I mean? By default, you may not experience the boom. You have to be positioned to be able to experience the boom. But by default, you don't need to do anything to feel the pain of the depression or the recession, as the case may be. I hope you understand what I'm saying. However, whether we are going to, as a nation or as a global, people, experience a boom next year or a recession, our preparation as individuals and as organization matters. Because, let me use this expression, there can be an Egypt, but there can be a Goshen in the Egypt. And you can be in paradise and you can be in hell in that paradise, which means it's not really just what happens around the world or in your organization or in the nation, but it is how you have prepared to either take advantage or mitigate certain negative vibes that may be around us. Okay, I've already mentioned the issue of Russia and Ukraine, very important. I'm sure some of us who buy bread or who have children who buy bread will testify that this year, if it is either the prices of bread has increased, if the price remains the same, I bet that the size of that bread has reduced. One of the two must have happened. And Russia and Ukraine, for example, are a major driver because, for example, Ukraine is a major producer of wheat. Gone are the days when you say what is happening in your neighbor's house does not concern you, that you need to manage your own business. Everybody's business is your business is everybody's business. Of course, inflation, rising fuel, interest rates, all these things have been affected. Now, I just went around major global respected organizations to see what they have to say in terms of their projections for next year. The Institute of International Finance predicts a global economic growth rate of 1.2%, which is very small relative to what you would have expected. Okay, for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, the interim chief economist, Alvaro Santos, he says that the British economy will decline in size by 0.3% in 2023. Okay, the US interest rate keeps increasing, and by early this year already, we are seeing annualized rates of 6%. Okay, base interest rate ranges from 0% to 0.25%, and so on and so forth. They are all typically saying the same thing. There's going to be a decline in 2023 for many reasons. Even China, who is a superpower or a near superpower, depending on how you look at it today, is experiencing some decline. Okay, the World Trade Organization, which our own amiable Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is overseeing, forecast a growth rate of between 1% to 3.4%. Okay, so you will see, you can see the map, the charts showing on your screen. You see what happened between December 2016 and then what happened in 2020, which was the period, the season of COVID, and how things nosedived. And then how it appeared in 2021, 22, we were about emerging, and then we are expecting or projecting, a drop. Now, Nigeria is not in isolation. We're not saying any of these things to scare us or make us uncomfortable, but we have to, there's what we call a reality check. Okay, and things can be better, things may even be worse. Okay, but we have to be prepared for all scenarios and all contexts. Now, looking at Nigeria in context where we operate today, or where at least all of us have a strong footing, we have our organizations work here, and of course, we may have other branches or foreign partners and so on and so forth. The IMF has said the economic growth in Nigeria will slow down to 3%. And they anticipate that the inflation rate will be at around 17%, which is still a lot. Any inflation that is 2 digits means 10 and above. Anything above 9 is a lot. Some other advanced nations may be having inflation around 5%, 6%, 4%. All right. So the growth will be down. That's what all the figures we are saying. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. If you follow what is happening in Ghana right now, you will see that people are complaining bitterly about the state of the economy, about the rising cost, of fuel, food, cost of living. Benin, Cameroon, Niger, Chad, all our neighbors, things are looking southwards. Okay. All right, so let's look at a few things quickly with respect to Nigeria. Slow economic growth, oil price driven by GDP growth, government revenue and forex, insecurity, it's neither here nor there. Of course, kudos to the Nigerian army, they are doing their best, but the terrorists are still operating pockets here and there. Insecurity will continue to be a key driver. Okay, rising inflation and unemployment, and growing poverty. Recently, I heard on the news how additional people in Nigeria have been pushed into poverty. I was startled when I heard that word, pushed into poverty. In other words, they were not in poverty before, and then they were pushed either by action and inaction of stakeholders. Okay, a persistent budget deficit. What's a budget deficit? When your anticipated revenue is lower than your anticipated expenditure. In other words, how are you going to meet your expenditure? By borrowing. And we can all testify that this government has borrowed more than ever, and they keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Of course, while you may say you can see some of the projects, but there are borrowing and indebtedness also has side effects. Okay, rising public debt, both federal government, state government. Okay, declining investment. What do you mean by declining investment? Low foreign private investment. FPI means foreign private investment. FDIs mean foreign direct investment. Even this year, relative to 1 or 2 years ago, the volume of inflow of foreign direct investment, foreign private investment have slowed down. Yesteryears, Nigeria used to be like a darling, not just Nigeria, emerging economies. Why? Because investors felt that it is easier to turn around your money in Nigeria than in many other places. But even that confidence is dwindling. And of course, some of us, if not all of us, are familiar with how airlines are struggling to repatriate their earnings to their mother country, maybe organizations, all these Lufthansa, British Airways, and the likes. When you buy tickets here in Nigeria, due to foreign scarcity, they are finding it challenging to take money back home to their headquarters. Then we have the great emigration, what we popularly call in Nigeria or Southwest Nigeria at least, Japa phenomena. We also have what we call the great resignation. We have corporate migration. Employees are moving out, maybe from organization to organization or from Nigeria to go and study. More than ever before, you would think Nigerians like masters. Maybe they do, but Nigerians are now embracing masters, education abroad, anything to get out of the system. Then we also have the political economy, and we are entering massively now into the political session. Electioneering has started in earnest. All the glasgows of social media is there, news media, print media, people talking back and forth. All these have consequence and attendant impact on the economic growth. Okay, just confirm that you are with me. If you are hearing me, just say yes in the chat box so that I can know that you are feeling us. Okay, so yes, despite all these things, Nigeria is still Africa's largest economy, and that's just the reality. I'm showing you a chart right now, showing you the economic growth under different regimes. Olusegun Obasanjo, President, Umaru Yar'Adua, lead president, Goodluck Jonathan, former president, and the incumbent president, Muhammadu Buhari. This is not a political conversation. These are data sourced, for example, StatisCense, which picked it from Nigerian Bureau of Intelligence. So this is from data gotten from the Nigerian government. You will see that each successive administrations, in terms of economic parameters, seems to be nosediving. And you can see where we are now from 2015. In fact, it looks like 2021 is the best under this administration. Okay, I hope you are following the trend. Okay, so just to recap, what are the key issues in Nigerian economy? We call them the big 5 factors: debt and taxes, politics and policies, then the geopolitical issues around the world, Russia, Ukraine, US, China, those kind of global dynamics, insecurity. Okay, then the subsidy is also there. Okay, and the true cost of petroleum subsidy, the general belief out there is that it's underreported. The general consensus out there is that it's no longer affordable and sustainable. For those of us in Lagos, or even other parts of Nigeria, you can confirm that we've been having fuel scarcity. We've been having long queues in filling stations that no one can really explain. All these things may not be unconnected. It's the pricing of petroleum and the sustainability. Now, the other key issue ahead of Nigeria, which makes 2023 even more pivotal, is the elections. Okay, and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group has said there are tough times ahead of Nigeria in 2023, no matter who becomes president. So let me take a breather here for like 15 seconds. And I would like to say that again, it's instructive. The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, they have said that tough times lie ahead of Nigeria in 2023, irrespective of who becomes president. I'm saying this because even if the person you want, you are rooting for becomes president, don't expect a miracle. Don't expect instantaneous turnaround, no matter who becomes president. Okay, I was reading an article just 2 days ago, and in that article, they said whoever emerges in 2023 will be better than what we have right now, which is a good news. Now, the options, they are better than each other, but the author articulated clearly that whoever emerges, irrespective of who he is, will be better than what we have right now, at least from an economic perspective. Okay, Nigeria is currently in a season of social discontent, too many challenges, complaints everywhere. The World Bank is estimating that in 2023, which is an election year, that 7 million Nigerians will go into what? Extreme poverty. Not just poverty now. There is poverty. There is extreme poverty. I'll say that again. There is poverty. There is what? Extreme. So things will go from bad to worse for some categories. You know, again, we've been saying that the middle class is almost non-existent in Nigeria anymore. You're either super rich or super poor. That income inequality, that gap will widen even in 2023 based on all the situations and scenarios on ground. All right. So what is IMF predicting? A decline in our economy, okay, to around 3.1% in 2023. This is very what? This is very, very crucial. All right. So there are also some things that are atypical of election cycles in Nigeria. Emphasis on in Nigeria. Generally speaking, in the election year, we all know, even when it doesn't matter whether it's a federal government or a state government election, there's a lot of distractions. You will see more emphasis on politicking than governance. Okay, so you will see things around delayed budgets, poor implementation of budgets, delayed approval, and so on and so forth. And why are we highlighting some of these things? If, for example, your organization is does a lot of contract assignments, you do jobs for contract, you will appreciate that your inflow next year may be neither here nor there. Okay, you should anticipate and expect delays. Okay, and irrespective of who wins, even if the ruling party wins, you know, because it's not the same person that is in power, some things will change. Some projects may be stalled or stopped or canceled or revisited. Now, let me drop something quickly at this intersection whilst we are talking about election. Two things. I won't mention name, but I know some of us will understand what I mean, but get the logic of what I'm trying to say. We were told, for example, in 1999, when there were two front runners, that a major businessman in this country donated exactly the same amount of money to Obasanjo and Olufala 18. In other words, it was, in his estimation, it wasn't easy to call. So he didn't pitch his tent with a particular player. He supported the two. What did he do? He hedged his bets that whoever wins, the person will say, I supported this campaign. Of course, the person who won supported him, he became even richer. His organization blossomed. That's wisdom for somebody here. That's wisdom, something an organization will want to leverage on. The other thing I want to also say here, as a way of guidance and suggestion, is that you should, as an organization, please. Yes, I know you may have your political preference. So you may say, oh, it's Obi, it's Atiku, it's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But let's forget the charade. Let's forget the political shenanigans. As an organization, one thing you must do, have at least 4 or 5 scenarios. You know, there's what we call scenario planning, which I believe we are all familiar with. Typically, what if situations. Don't be cocksure that somebody will win. Please. You have to, we're having a reality check. That's the purpose of this specific knowledge sharing. So have a team, for example, brainstorm. if Atiku Abubakar wins, what are the likely impact on the economy and your business? Do that scenario planning. What will you change? What will you adjust? If Bola Ahmed Tinubu wins, the same thing. If what's his name, Peter Obi wins, the same thing. If Kwankwaso wins, the same thing. Now, the fifth option I'm giving you, because you know we have many candidates, it may be impossible to have scenario planning for all the candidates, but don't let us think a lesser candidate cannot win. So the fifth option can be any dark horse. In other words, them Shogore, whatever, whoever. So just have a scenario that what if none of these three? And please don't say it can't happen. Again, when you are, one of the things professionalism does to us is that it helps us to be open-minded. There may be a remote possibility, but you prepare for that remote possibility. I will say this, people who are familiar with Lagos politics back in the day will remember the story of Dapo Sarumi and Agbala Jobi and how Otedola became the governor of Lagos. He was not a front runner. People were expecting either Dapo Sarumi or Agbala Jobi, Professor Agbala Jobi, and Otedola now won. This happened right here in Nigeria. So please, as a professional, once there is a possibility, even if it is 5%, even if it is 1%, plan for that possibility. Let me tell you what, if you don't plan well, even if your preferred candidate wins, you will not take great advantage of your candidate. If you plan well and the person you don't like wins, you will tend to prosper or excel no matter what. Some people, they will be so fixated on the euphoria of their candidate to win, they won't take action and they will miss out. Some will also be so fixated on the fact that their candidate lost and they won't take action. It's not who wins that matters, it's how you position yourself. Don't forget, at the minimum, have 5 scenarios based on those candidates profiling I did for you now, for your organization and even for yourself as an individual. Now, we are costing home now. What are the major challenges companies are likely to face? And I'm sure you all know some of these things I'm sharing with you now, and you can resonate with them. Okay, again, inflation and economic downturn. Now, one of the things that will happen to you, I know some of us have already, maybe our budget for 2023 has been approved already. Some, the budgeting process is in the works. But let me say this, and it won't shock most of us here. Chances are, if you are not careful, the prices you have quoted by July may be insufficient. Take things like diesel, petrol, even consumables. If you are not careful, what you quoted 800 naira per yard for can become 2,200. That can happen next year. Okay, so you need to brace up for inflation and economic meltdown. Your cash flow in your organization as HR or as a professional, next year, I don't want anything to catch you unawares or by surprise. Next year is not the year of a year. It is, we knew it was going to happen. We were ready for it and we are marching forward irrespective. Okay, nobody in this session should be caught unawares or should be sad. We are taking action. Okay, another thing that we expect, speaking around organizations next year, this may vary from sector to sector. I'm aware that there are people who work in different sectors on this call right now. Okay, but we expect even increased accelerated digital transformation. Okay, so things like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, virtual and augmented realities, cloud computing, blockchain, super fast internet networks, those things will come closer to Nigeria. It will impact more on what we do and how we do it. I will advise as HR professionals, we too should think more automation next year than ever before. If you don't have an ERP, for example, in your organization, and you are big enough to have one, please subscribe. HR should be the driver of the change. HR should not be the victim of the change. If you are taking notes, you may want to write that down. HR should be the driver of the change and not the victim of the change. HR should not be, oh, this happened to us. No, it should be HR who made this happen to us. In 2023 too, sustainability will be a big issue, okay? And sustainability around the environment, social and governance. We're talking about corporate governance. So HR too has a key role to play around this so that we have goals, plans, and timeframes, and we work around this. As always, this has always been on the front burner. But in 2023, customer experience will even be key. You see, getting new customers may not be easy, but it will be easy to lose existing customers. So focus on customer satisfaction. Focus on what? Customer experience. Don't continue to do the same thing the same way without talking to your customers. What do you want? How do you want it? When do you want it? Because something worked in 2022 or in 2021 may not mean that it will work. Don't forget that the needs of our clients, our customers, both internal and external, they are what? They are dynamic. Okay, so don't just make your relationship with customers transactional in 2023. Make sure that it's relational. Build rapport, okay, with them intentionally. Then the issue of talent management, talent challenge will still persist. In fact, it will even be worse. Just get ready. In January, another batch of people will go for masters. Resignation galore. As the election is approaching, some people will just relocate. Some will say, let us go on leave. When the elections are over, if necessary, we will come back. Please prepare for that. So great resignation will be exacerbated in Nigeria. Quiet quitting. So you need to focus on employee relations, on employee engagement. The war for talent sourcing will intensify. So you may need to build a bench for your key talent roles. You may also need to focus on succession planning. You know, somebody was telling me recently that all the people in our talent pipeline, they've all jackpot. I say, welcome to the club. Okay, so let's just look at a few data. Some of us might have seen some of these things. It's okay, but I felt it would be important to highlight it again, you know, for us. Academy to Innovate HR, you know, on their website, put this out, that the 11 top things based on, and this is based on a survey, on research. So it's not just that some people sat down and put information together, okay? Again, to a large extent, to the bulk of the people who fill the survey are from the US, so you may want to adjust mentally for Nigeria, okay? Just to also put that out there. The top 10 things, a focus on total well-being, okay? Employees are getting burnout. So next year, one thing you need to do, and you can even do that from now for your organization, help them have like a leave plan. They may not follow it religiously, but helping people come up with a leave plan, you know, and ensuring that, for example, every quarter there is a plan. When they plan, it won't clash. Then you insist that every quarter at the minimum, even if it is 5 days, go on leave. Where feasible, you can even put it in senior managers KPI that their subordinates should go on leave. Those kinds of things. Also be creative. You are going to work extremely hard in 2023, but you must also infuse fun into your schedule, into your program, into the dynamics of your workplace. 2, create purpose-driven organizations. You know, for lack of a better word, people today or increasingly want to feel like they are serving God with their work, for lack of a better word, like their work is ministry. It must be beyond the paycheck. Okay? You know, the way people who work in NGO, how they feel like we're solving problems, we are helping humanity. You must find a way to unlock the purpose in your business, in your organization, and get your employees to connect and key into it. 3, inclusion across the employee life cycle. Very key. We talk a lot about inclusion and diversity. Let me just say this. Diversity is not just gender, it's not just tribe or age. There's also diversity of thoughts. Can somebody who has a dissenting voice be comfortable in a meeting in your organization to say, well, I have a contrary opinion, and they will share it, share their logic. It may not be followed, but they should be free to express their thoughts or their narrow or their minority reports. Let's put it that way. 4, increased investment in deskless workers. Okay, so to boost retention, HR must understand what deskless workers need and want. You know, let me just say this here, that I still have a lot of organizations, a lot of managing directors, business owners who still resist remote work, virtual work. Please, let's find a way to enlighten them. Okay, because these are some of the things, especially the younger generations, that will aid in employee retention. Some people today don't apply for job if at the minimum it's not even ID. Of course, there are some roles we understand if it is factory, if it's front desk, but roles that does not absolutely have to be physical in a location. Work is about what we do, not where we do it. Work is not where we go. Work is what we do. They need to get that. Of course, we get our performance management system in top gear, okay, so that we are measuring work and not presentism and not showing up physically at a place. The 5th point here is about reshaping workplace learning. You need to close gaps. HR needs to invent old learning approaches. Some competencies will be obsolete. New competencies are emerging. Some competencies may be less relevant, while some other competencies may be more relevant. We need to identify these things, push them to the front burner. I was telling some people just last week that your most important trainings for 2023 will be the ones you will do in January and February. Don't push training till October. If you want the training to impact 2023, push it. 2nd week, 3rd week, start, hit the ground running. 6, redefining remote and hybrid work strategy. Okay. 7, managing workforce ecosystems. Okay. 8, HR enters into the metaverse. Okay. Creating productive, collaborative, and creative workplaces. 9, the rise of algorithm HR, using technology to help reduce what? Bias, augment decision-making, and taking care of administrative, there's what we call predictive analytics. Okay, then the evolving role of the HR in the organization, whether you're the head of HR, you're the chief HR, or you're just in the HR department, you must be more strategic and add more visible value to the business next year. Last but not the least is upskilling managers and leaders. You know, back in the days, used to have management development programs. We must go back to it. There's no guarantee that any leader in your organization today will be with you forever. Okay, even best case scenario, retirement will take them away. We must consciously build the leadership and management capabilities within our organization and across the board. Don't have a lone genius. Only one person is a superstar. Yes, you may have one superstar, but try and say, how can you have 7 superstars? That way, it will help sustainability. Okay, again, you know, we like to cross-reference information from multiple sources, okay, so that we can validate our expectations. This outcome we are seeing on the screen right now, top 5 priorities for HR leaders, was from Gartner, okay, which is another organization, global, reputable, renowned, also from Survey. We won't dwell much on this, I'll just mention it. Okay, the parameter or factor with the most important thing here is leader and manager effectiveness, which also correlates with the last point we just discussed from the AI HR data. Leader and manager effectiveness, very key. Organizational design and change management, very key. Employee experience, okay. Then recruiting will continue to be on the front burner. And then the future of work, which to some extent is already the now of work. Factors that will shape HR in 2023, still from Gartner, okay. Adapt to change, agile leadership, okay, attracting and retaining talent, employee experience. This is very key, okay. Things like mental health will continue to be germane, it continue to be fundamental. All these other things, you know, agile leadership. You can't continue to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. We need to continue to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Okay, don't let us be fixated on methodology. If a methodology is no longer working, as long as it does not cross ethical boundaries, change. Okay, don't be afraid to say, look, we've proposed this, it didn't work, we are changing to this, or we are modifying this. Don't wait till the end of the year to evaluate your approach. At the end of the month, evaluate. At the end of the quarter, evaluate. If you need to tweak, quickly do that. You know, some of us sometimes, we want to, you know, because we came up with a strategy, we want to say, oh, we stand by this strategy. If it is not working, don't let pride set in. Whatever is not working there, let's change some of it. Let's try other alternatives. The important thing is that we achieve our objective, not which methodology we use. Again, I'm not talking about crossing ethical boundaries. Yeah, we're rounding up now. Okay, focus for the HR professionals in 2023, future-proof your company. Okay, deepen employee engagement levels. Okay, your employee value proposition, look at it again. Enhance employee experience. See, some of these things, if not all, we're already doing it, but let's be intentional. That's what I would say. I'm sure there's nobody here, for example, who does not on a good day do surveys, have one-on-one interactions with employees or focus group, but be intentional about it. For example, if all the surveys you've been doing in the past, did you ever publish them? Did you articulate them to say, these were the key highlights of the survey? These are the things the organizations have changed. These ones, we cannot change them for social reason. These ones, we will do them in the future. These ones, we won't do it for social reason. Please, let's be intentional. You don't need to look for a new method. If you look at the existing old method and then you implement them thoroughly on a full scale, okay, all right. Because of our time, some skills you may want to look at. Now, when I say look at, anybody on this call who, on the average, have 50 to 80% of the skills showing right now on your screen. But what do I mean? Which one don't you really have? So it may be just two. You may be very good, for example, in project management, but you are struggling in change management. So in the area you are struggling in, how can you become better? Okay, so just the top 15 skills: project management, change management, organizational design, people analytics, strategic deals management, critical thinking, system thinking. Okay, then you have negotiations, stakeholder management, collaboration, cultural difference integration, resilience, risk management. I like this so much. Self-care. Okay, self-care to ensure you are in the best physical and mental shape. Don't burn out, sir, ma, don't burn out. You are critical to yourself and to your organization, to your family. Don't burn out. Okay, and lastly, ethics and data privacy. It may just be 5 areas. It may be 1 area, but pick it and say, in this area, I know today I'm a learner or I'm basic, I would step up to intermediate, or I'm an intermediate, I'll step up to advance. All right. So these are key areas. Now, this does not mean you shouldn't understand HR end-to-end value chain, but these are also complementary skills and competencies that are very, very good. I think I have just 2 more slides to go. Stay with me as we wrap up this session and then open the floor for questions, comments, and contributions from the floor. So as we approach 2023, look at your vision and your long-term goal. Look at it, review them. Please write them down, write the vision, write it down, make it plain. Perform the SWOT analysis. SWOT is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. For yourself, for your organization, for your department. Have visibility on your strength, have visibility on your weakness. Wake up, reality, okay? Set macro goals. Macro goals means big goals, okay? Set macro goals. Identify the KPIs you will use to track success. So it's not enough to say, oh, we'll make employees happy in 2023. How? If they are happy, how would we know? How would we measure it? Will we increase productivity? How? What would we use to measure it? Are we looking at increased sales? Are we looking at revenue? Are we looking at profits? And so on and so forth. Then you have to prioritize initiatives. Okay, there are many things you plan to do next year, but when you do some of them matter. I was given an example that if a training is critical for you for next year, do it early. Don't do the training in November. A training that is supposed to impact on 2023. If you are doing it in Q4 2023, come on. So you need to prioritize the initiatives so that the most important initiatives, you do them very early in the year, even in your personal space. Step 6, okay, build your strategy to what? Implement your initiative. Execution is key. Implementation is key. Somebody was telling me recently how Nigerians have brilliant ideas, but we are not ruthless with execution. Okay, it's okay if you have 5 goals, but those 5 goals, get them done. Oh, there are people on this call. Let me say it quickly. You are already due to be MCIPM. You are already more than 7 years, 8 years. Don't stop procrastinating. Upgrade to MCIPM next year. Upgrade. Some you are due for fellow. Upgrade. Don't say what do they use it for. Have the title and know what we use it for or what we don't use it for. Are you with me? Hold yourself accountable. Hold your organization accountable. And I go to the final slide, okay, because I told you that we are going from global and we are ending with you. Okay, you see that the last few slides have been a little more personal, your career, your focus. But one thing we've come to realize in life is that everything we do is intertwined. Okay, so you cannot be growing in your career, but your family life is declining. Your overall productivity will be what? Suboptimal. I shared an example last Saturday. I facilitated a session for some professionals, incidentally HR professionals, but it was a physical class. And I was telling them how don't have goals that are scattered. When you have your goals, align them. I gave one funny example and some people laughed. I said, do you know that some people, they don't have family goals, but they have financial goals. Now, when they make way more money than they used to make, and this typically will apply to a man most likely, what happens to that man? Will now begin to have side chicks. What happened to him? More money made him to have side chicks. What happened to him? He had financial goals, but he didn't have family goals. If, as he was setting goals for his financiers, he also had goals on how fidelity will be maintained in his family. Now that he's traveling all over the world, I will stay faithful to his life. So this is the last, what do you call it now, slide that we're looking at. Again, I know some people say, you mean I should set goals in 10 areas? Okay, if you've never done it before, I will allow you, but at least pick 5 areas. Okay, your family and friends, set goals. Don't say because you are working, your friends don't get to see you again. Your significant other, if you are married or you have a stable relationship, your career and work, money and finances, health and fitness. Please, some of us, we need to walk more. When I say walk, W-A-L-K. Some of us need to buy a treadmill at home, and I'm serious. Some of us need to reduce our sugar intake. Some of us need to reduce our carbohydrates. Are we together? Personal growth and learning. Thank God, someone here needs to commit that all the learning sessions that we'll do in this chapter next year, as much as possible. If they are doing 12, I must either attend 12 over 12 or worst case scenario, 10 over 12. Someone here needs to commit that any webinar that is directly related to my work, I will do my best to catch up with it. Somebody here needs to say, I will read at least 3 or 4 HR books next year. Personal growth and learning. Fun and leisure. Please. Sometimes people say, he has gone to hang out with the boys. Hanging out with the boys has privileges and advantages. Some people have changed jobs because they were with the boys. Some organizations have gotten more business deals because they hang out with the boys. Just make sure it's the right boys you're hanging out with. Your work environment. What impact would you have on your colleagues? Your community, either where you live, where you come from, and then your spirituality, whatever faith, Christian, Muslim, whatever you believe in. set goals in all these areas. Okay, I'd like to end here so that we can take questions, comments, and contributions. All right, my chairman.
Thank you very much, Oluyemi Adeosun, MCIPM. Thank you. This is brilliant, power-packed, and very insightful. Thank you. Okay, to the house, while we'll begin to craft a question. If you want to post your question, you can drop it on the chat box. If you want to ask, you can also show with a raise of hand so that we'll see you, and don't just unmute, just show with a raise of hand. We'll see you, and then we can give you the floor. At my take home, I'll just highlight some of my take home. I was sharing with some people today, and I was telling them I was in church, and I was telling them that for a better part of my life, I go to church and I must take notes, even when I wasn't that close to God. Whenever you see me in church, I want to take note of something, because I may go back home and that becomes something that can really and change my life. My take home from what you have said, I heard you said HR should drive change and not be a victim of change. HR should be on the wheel of change. You should be the driver of change. Of course, if you are not careful in 2023, our head could be shaved behind us. We looked at, you also encouraged us to have 5 scenario planning, particularly considering the political environment, because the external environment, external factors surely have a way of affecting business. So we need to have at least 5 scenario planning. We talked about talent sourcing. We should also focus on succession planning due to the JAPA syndrome. More people will see JAPA, whether we like it or not, whether we give a better offer or not, more people will still want to leave. You also encouraged that we should have leave plans, and HR should be prepared to work extremely hard in 2023, but make the workplace a fun place. That's what I got. Make the workplace a fun place. Work is what we do, not where we do it. So I agree with you, sir. Hybrid is a good chunk of people will do hybrid. But if it is the one that I must be physically present, I think the workplace have gone past that. So HR must find a way of talking with the owners of business. What we want to measure is work. We don't want to measure presenteeism. I heard that from you. We don't want to measure presenteeism. We want to measure work. Training should be done between January and February, which I agree with you, because for me, the plan is for 2023. Why do a training in November, in October, in September? When in September, between September, October, some organizations are already doing training for the next year. So why do your own training for as late as September? So I agree with you. Any training that passes for me even March is not worth it. Can be moved over to the next year. We also told us to consciously build leadership capabilities in the workplace so as to aid sustainability, because no matter the pool of talent you have, people are leaving the country, people are changing jobs, people are upskilling their skills by themselves without the organization because they are ready to move. So we need to keep building leadership. We talked about some factors that may shape 2023. You told us to adapt change. You told us to have agile leadership. You also told us to attract and retain talent and employee experience. I think I want to stop there for now while we look at the chat box if there's any question, or if you have any question, please, you can unmute. Or if you have a comment, go ahead, unmute, make your comments, please. General Secretary, after the Q&A, what do we have? So please, our speaker is still in the house. You want clarification. He said something, you are not, you even disagree with what he has said. Let's hear your opinion. Yes, because we need to be open to other ideas. Anybody in the house? It's okay. What that means is that your message was crystal clear and impactful. Thank you very much. I think, General Secretary, I think we are calling it should be the IPC, is it?
Yes, sir. The IPC, sir.
Okay, vote of thanks, IPC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, good evening.
Network. Hello, Mr.
I can hear
Chairman.
you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
If somebody wants to say something.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Adeosun. We really appreciate this presentation, and it just got me thinking. And you gave us our preparation for, I think, 4 or 5 options about for next year's preparation. And then I was thinking, I said, what could happen with an option that if no election took place? What could happen? What could possibly be our preparation strategy if no election takes place?
Okay, so I particularly like this question because it shows that you are listening. I gave 5 options for the elections. You have even made it 6. And this 6th option is a critical one. Again, sometimes, we Nigerians will like this option of saying, God forbid. But really, that's what scenario planning does for you. Now, when you talk about that particular 6th option, which is not also desirable, but which is a possibility, albeit remotely, the key thing here is, what is your business continuity plan like? Your business continuity plan. For example, if there is need, God forbid, for a shutdown, no movement, the kind of business you do, is it what you can still do some things on the line, on the side? Is it how would you maybe pass information across to your customers? How do you communicate? So, and that's why I use that word or phrase, business continuity plan. Business continuity plan means anything can go wrong. For example, COVID, organizations have to resort back to business continuity plan during COVID. God forbid, it could be a natural disaster, an earthquake. So it also means building resilience into your business, into your organization. So no matter what you do, as much as possible, equip your employees to be able to either work on site and off site, no matter what. Maybe you have a server, and the server is a physical server. If you don't have it on the cloud, have cloud. Because if it's physical, and there's a challenge, and there's no light, so backup your critical infrastructure and data, backup. Don't put everything only in one place. So have alternatives. If, for example, your company has been thinking about expanding beyond Nigeria before, expand. That's why multinationals operate in many countries, because except this is a world war, you won't have problem in Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Cameroon, all at the same time. So as HR, we can even say, oh, we've been planning to expand our business, let's expand it. So I hope I've been able to stimulate a few ideas and aid your curiosity as to, it's a tough question, I must tell you, because you need to be alive first. God will keep us. Thank you for that brilliant question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeosun, FCIPM. Any other question or comments? Any other question or comments we want to make? Okay, please, before we call on the IPC, let's take note, go to the chat box. Let's have your attendance. It's necessary for us. Okay, IPC, please, let's do us the honor to give vote of thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun, MCIPM.
Yes, I would like to say, Oluyemi Adeosun is a brother, is a friend, and our relationship dates back to 2007, when Destiny brought us together for our MBA programs. And since then, we've kept, the relationship, ongoing. He's one of those friends I can call at the spur of the moment to say, hey, bro, what's up? I need you to do this or that. And readily and willingly, he will oblige. And sincerely, he has said something. Yeah, you need to hang out with the boys, but just be sure that you're hanging out with the right set of guys. So remember, as we go into 2023, remember your network is your net worth. And you must ensure that you do all that you need to do to be relevant in the scheme of things, irrespective of what is happening. So to my tallest friend, I want to say a very big thank you for stopping by in our chapter to do us this honor. We sincerely hope in 2023, when we call on you, we hope that when we call on you in 2023, you will definitely oblige us. Compliment of the seasons to you and compliment of the seasons to every member of the chapter. We trust God for the very best possible outcome. However, remember, Bible said, watch and pray. So we plan and we also leave everything in God's hands for the best possible outcome. On that note, I want to say a very big thank you again to you, Oluyemi Adeosun, MCIPM, for allowing us to see all this data. There is a saying that when you torture the data, it will confess. The confession has been made. Let's make the best use of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, IPC. General Secretary. Let's get this one quickly done. What next? General Secretary.